Can I ask a question? Who here brings passion at work? Hands up. Yeah? Come on. Okay. Who here brings passion for high performance at work? Who here wants to be the best? Who here thinks long and hard about their passion for high performance and how that manifests itself in their outwardly expressed behaviors? Not so many hands that time. And this was the trap I fell into. I let my passion for high performance get the better of me. It all started when we were on our first leg of the race. We'd sailed from the UK, we were sailing south to Rio de Janeiro, our first long leg, 30 days at sea. We'd just crossed the equator, and the fleet was very compressed with, positions changing every single day. So there was a lot of pressure, everyone wanted to perform at their best, and, we were watching our results very carefully. But what happened is I became too emotionally invested in the results that we were getting. Every 6 hours on board, we would get an email sent to the boat which would give us our position relative to the other boats in the fleet, and it would tell us whether we had gained miles or lost miles to them. So I'd sit there in the navigation station inside the boat. The email would come in, I'd look at it, all the numbers showed up green. We'd made miles on everybody. Brilliant. I'd go up on deck, I'd high-five people, I'd give them the good news. I'd be really generous with my praise. I wanted to see people rewarded for their hard work and their efforts. I'd go back down below. 6 hours later, report comes in, all the numbers show up red. We've lost miles to everyone. Oh, God, it was frustrating. I'd go up on deck. I'd be short with people who asked me, so how do we do, Brendan? I'd immediately go and check the trim of the sails and maybe make some adjustments myself. I'd wander around the boat looking at, what's gone wrong here. I'd be asking people, what's happened? We were doing so well 6 hours ago. Have we dropped the ball? Are we doing something differently? What's going on? And the crew were left in a position where they honestly didn't know whether the skipper that came out of the hatch every 6 hours was going to be a sort of happy, overjoyed person or this sort of really despondent, sort of stroppy git. I was dragging them with me through the highs and lows of the day. I thought I was just being a really passionate leader who wanted to do their best, and when our results weren't what I thought they should be, I wanted to express that. But it was very detrimental to the team. Now, I'm very thankful now in hindsight that my team were a very strong group of individuals. So they didn't let this carry on for too many days, and they decided they would get together, they actively collaborated, and they decided they needed to speak up and talk straight with me. So they discussed this behavior, they talked about how it was making them feel, how it was affecting them, and then someone came and to have the chat with me. And I remember I was sat there in the nav station, and a bad report had just come in a few minutes ago, so I wasn't in the best frame of mind to accept constructive criticism, shall we say. And she came and sat down next to me and said, Brendan, we need to have a little talk. The crew and I have discussed this, and she laid it all out. How it was making them feel, the effect it was having, how it was not going to be a sustainable way for us to move forward. It was against the values we'd all agreed, and so on, so on, so on. And I sat there and I took this criticism, which had come completely out of left field. This was completely in my blind spot. And the minute she said it, I knew they were right. I knew absolutely I was banged to rights, clearly caught out, and I needed to change this. But it was emotional to hear. So I said thank you for the feedback. I'm going to need to sort of give me a minute to process this. And so I took myself off to my bunk on board the boat. And I sat down, and this feeling of despondency and disappointment just hit me like a cannonball in the stomach. I felt so disappointed in myself. I felt ashamed. I felt like I'd let the team down, I'd let myself down. I worried that the crew would be riding home to friends and family about their manic, depressive 27-year-old skipper who just couldn't keep it together. I should have been the rock at the center of the team. And here I was, this sort of emotionally volatile skipper dragging the crew with me through the highs and lows of the day. So I beat myself up for about an hour, and then I had to turn things around and turn them around fast. So what I did is I pulled out a marker pen from next to my bunk, and I wrote myself a little slogan on the roof above my bunk so I'd see it. Every time I laid down, I wrote, "Your mood becomes their mood," as a permanent reminder to me of the mood shadow that I cast over the team. It was far greater than I thought it was, and I needed to be really mindful of that and understand the influence that I had over them. So that was a big takeaway for me in that part of the race, and I became much more mindful of it. And I would stand before you today and say, since I've been more aware of it, I would say that for the rest of the race, my mood counted for at least 50% of the mood of the crew, which is huge. And their moods affected each other, of course. Mine was slightly amplified as I was the leader. So that was my big takeaway. The race was throwing change at us from every direction, at a pace that we could only just about keep up with, at least in those early days. The crew needed someone who was absolutely stable, the rock at the center of the team, not someone who was emotionally volatile, just adding more change every day onto the change pile. And from that point on, that's what I vowed to be, that rock at the center of the team, that absolutely constant presence that could be relied upon. And the other thing, it just made me so thankful for was that I had the team. I had that strong team, and we had created co-created a culture, I should say, where it was okay for them to speak up and talk straight with me when they saw something that was going wrong.